Have there been times that you just didn't like a certain food? Spaghetti was one of mine. I just knew spaghetti would taste really nasty. Mind you, I'd never even tried it, but I would not be dissuaded from my belief. I was around 12 years old and I had this huge aversion toward spaghetti. To me, they looked like worms on a plate. Ew, how could anybody eat something like that and think it would taste good? When the red sauce was added to the spaghetti noodles, it made them look even that much more like worms to me. Mom and Dad would cook spaghetti once a week. I wouldn't even sit at the same table where the spaghetti was being served. I would go into the kitchen, make a peanut butter sandwich, and eat by myself, away from the rest of the family and the offending spaghetti. My dad was pretty patient about all this for a while. Then one night, he'd pretty much had it with my eating away from the family. I think that's what bothered him the most. He saw dinner time as a very special time with the family. That night, when the family was preparing dinner, a spaghetti dinner no less, he came to me and told me that I would not be allowed to eat away from the table, and I would be required to taste at least a little bit of the spaghetti. I was also not allowed to make my peanut butter sandwich. I was not a happy camper. He made me sit at the table with a plate of spaghetti before me. He had one rule. All I had to do was to eat a forkful of spaghetti. I sat there and stared at the offending plate for what seemed like forever, and all I could perceive were the worms. I was very close to gagging. The family finished their meal. I was left alone at the table to eat my forkful of spaghetti. My plate was getting colder by the minute. What made it even worse was Dad made my very favorite brownies and set them down in the middle of the table right in front of me. I sat there while the family went about their business. The brownies were staring at me and they were starting to get the best of me. I had to make a decision. Dad had said that if I did that and still hated spaghetti, he would not bother me about it again. However, I would still have to eat the stuff. And I would be required to sit at the family table every time they served spaghetti. On that, he would not waver. I thought, if I put this fork full of spaghetti in my mouth all at once and swallow really, really fast, drink a big glass of water, it'd be done. I would get the whole ordeal over with, and then I could have my brownie. So I picked up the fork of spaghetti, removed as much of the offending stuff as I could get away with. I could see that Dad was watching off to the side. Still feeling a bit squeamish, with a full glass of water at the ready, held the fork, mustered up enough courage to stuff it in my mouth. Then I did it. At first, I thought I would gag, but to my surprise, it really tasted pretty good. Not wanting to admit that, maybe just because Dad might be right, I hurried up, swallowed it, and gulped down some water. Dad sat next to me and said, "Didn't taste so bad, huh?" Not wanting to give anything away, I shrugged my shoulders and said, it was okay, in a nonchalant kind of voice. Dad took the plate of remaining spaghetti away and then placed these very large brownies in front of me. I was thrilled. All I could think of was, yay, glad that's over with. The next week rolled around, it was spaghetti night. I sat at the table as Dad had asked. A plate of spaghetti was placed in front of me. My brothers were watching with much amused curiosity. I picked up my fork and began eating my spaghetti. My brothers began to giggle. Mother shushed them. Mom and Dad acted as if it were just an ordinary meal. I have loved all things pasta ever since. The lesson is simple. Never judge until you have all the facts. In my case, what spaghetti really tasted like. When you've done that, sometimes you may just have a change of heart.